Hi, everyone. I'm here with Butch Goring. Needs no introduction. I was recently at an Islander game where they retired his number, and I'm sure anyone who's from Long Island and watches the Islanders hears him on the broadcast for the Islanders. Thank you for coming to help us try to raise some money for Long Island here, Butch.
Well, it certainly is my pleasure. I mean, the first responders are putting themselves at great risk, and they're doing an unbelievable job. So I'm happy to do anything I can for them.
I'm going to get some stuff out of the way to begin with. First of all, you got to tell me, I know you're from Manitoba, Canada,
Right?
between Saskatchewan and Ontario, if I'm not mistaken.
You know your geography.
And what scares me is that it's north of North Dakota, if I'm correct.
Yes.
That's got to be cold as anything. What's going on in Manitoba at this point?
Well, I just talked actually to my mother yesterday, and she says it's very cold, although they don't have any snow. And I talked to my youngest daughter, and she lives in Flin Flon, Manitoba, and that's way northern Manitoba. And they've got all kinds of snow, and they're right in the middle of winter. So it's cold out there, but they're safe and sound. So that's the most important thing.
Is it a big city there, or a small town, or?
Well, Winnipeg is about 600,000 people, and then of course Flin Flon is maybe about 8,000 people. So a big difference between the two.
Now, have they been hit with the virus up there?
Oh yeah. It's obviously not as bad up there as it has been in the state of New York, but they've had some cases. And northern Manitoba, obviously the population is very, very small, so they really haven't been inundated thus far. So we hope that continues. But it seems like that virus seems to take a little time to gain momentum, and then it really comes across like a forest fire.
Well, I guess when it's minus 20, it's a little easier to social distance, right?
You got that right. No, everybody's stuck in their houses.
Now, another question I got to ask you: how'd you get the name Butch?
Well, it's actually a very simple story. When my mother delivered me, in those days you didn't go into the room and watch it firsthand. You waited out in the hallway or the waiting room, and so my dad was out there, and the nurse carried me out to my dad and said, "You have a Butch," and the name stuck.
The name stuck. And
yes.
How long have you been living on Long Island now?
I've been here basically since 2011. I bought a home in the Oyster Bay area, and so I love it out here. My wife and I really enjoy it. It's a nice little community. But I was in Manhattan for a number of years before that. So, but we've settled in here, so it's good. It's close to the Coliseum, and certainly will be close enough to Belmont whenever we get there.
Well, you certainly were a tremendous part of Long Island sport history. I mean, one of the most incredible runs in sport history you could think of. And it's so glad to be able to talk to you. Now, how are you managing, you're in the for you broadcasting now in the sports, what are people thinking in your industry?
Well, we're all a little bored. Obviously, this is a big time of the year. Normally, you'd be involved in playoffs, and that's the most exciting time there is in hockey. So with no sports at all. I mean, you can't even go to, say, baseball, football, or basketball. There's just nothing on. It's all repeats, and I'm not a big fan of repeats. I like to watch things firsthand. So it's been difficult. It's been challenging. I mean, I have a couple of dogs, golden retrievers, that we now have a lot more time to exercise them. So we do that a lot. And until recently, I've been able to get on the golf course every once in a while. So that's I'm an avid golfer, so that's been fun. Although now the rules have changed just recently, so but it's been tough. But at the same time, it's you do what you need to do. It's a challenge, but you keep your social distancing intact, and you eat more meals than you probably should, because you're just not getting the same exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. And has anyone talked about there'll be no playoffs this season? Basically, they cancel that, or?
Well, everything is pretty much on hold. I mean, everybody's very optimistic that they can, restart again. And whether or not they'll finish out the regular season, teams have anywhere from about 12 to 10 games left. And of course, there's a couple of teams on the bubble, whether they can make the playoffs or not. So those games could be important. But Gary Bettman has been monitoring the situation, and obviously he'll follow, whatever the governor says, but they're still optimistic that they can get this under control enough. I guess the big challenge, Doc, will be, will we be able to televise the games, or will we have to work from a studio? Will they allow fans into the building? I mean, hockey is such a fan-based game that without the atmosphere and the energy in the building, it's like a practice, and it'll be interesting to see if the players can handle it. But right now, everybody's still very optimistic that things will get rolling again, hopefully in the near future.
Well, I couldn't be happier that you spent some time with us, and I'm sure all the fans who look up to you, hopefully they'll be contributing to help Long Island hospitals, and I wish you the best and hope you to get back to work soon, Butch.
Yeah, thanks very much, Doc, and it certainly is my pleasure.